Welcome to a special production by the Valencia Reserve Players Club. Sit back and enjoy. Murder in the first degree. Premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've heard a long and complex case, gentlemen, and it's now your duty to sit down to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen. You may now retire to deliberate. Bailiff, please show the men to the jury room.
Well, I guess he got a fair trial.
He's entitled.
Everyone gets a fair trial.
Yes, everyone gets a fair trial. That's our system.
This better be fast. I got 2 tickets to the ball game tonight. Should be a good one. Yankees, Red Sox.
How do you like that business with a knife?
Look, you got to expect that. Look what we're dealing with.
It's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father. Bang! Just like that. Well, it's the elements. They let the kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right. Okay, Mr. Foreman, let's start the show.
Okay. Now, gentlemen, we can handle this any way that you want to. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If we want to discuss this first and then vote, that's fine with me. Or we can vote now to see where we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home.
I agree. Let's vote now.
Anybody doesn't want to vote? Okay, then. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 for guilty. Not guilty? 1. That's 11-1 guilty. Now we know where we are.
Somebody's always got to be in left field. Let me ask you something. You really think he's not guilty?
I don't know.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life. You sat right in that court and heard the same thing I did. The kid's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
He's 19 years old. He's a boy.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into his chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid? Come on, they proved it a dozen times. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe it or not?
I don't know if I believe it. Maybe I don't.
Why did you vote not guilty?
There are 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send the boy off to die without talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
No one says it's easy for you.
What, just because I voted fast? I think the guy's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind. I just want to talk it out for a while. Look, this boy's been kicked around all his life. living in a slum. His mother died when he was 9. That's not a very good start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know why slum kids get that way? Because we knock them on the head once a day, every day. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? We're all grown-ups here. You're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe him, knowing what he is. Let me tell you something. I've lived among them my whole life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
Excuse me, but I don't know that. What a terrible thing to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
Look, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon. Everyone has their beliefs.
But what this man believes is dangerous.
People like him will never change. It's okay. You're wasting your breath.
I just don't see any reason for arguing like this. I think we ought to behave like gentlemen. So let's get back to the case.
Look, I've been pretty quiet, but I think that's a good idea. Let's get back to the facts.
I agree. Red Sox, Yankees.
I have an idea. I'm just thinking out loud now, but it seems to me it's up to us to convince this gentleman that he's wrong and that we're right. Maybe if we just took a few minutes and stick to the facts.
That sounds fair enough. Suppose we go once around the table. Anyone object? All right, suppose we start over here. And I guess you're first.
Well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. The Fifth Amendment, you've heard of it?
Okay. Next, gentleman.
Okay, that's me. Let's get to the facts. Number 1, let's take the old man who lived on the second floor apartment right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the murder, he heard loud noises in the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the boy say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard the body fall to the floor. He ran out of his apartment and he saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. That's when he called the police. They found his father with a knife right in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death around midnight.
So what else could you want to know?
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies, but he couldn't even remember what picture he saw. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it?
He had just come home and learned his father was dead. And he's being accused by the police. Do you think you would remember?
I would remember.
I would remember too. Now look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know? She looks out the window right across the street. She sees the kid stick the knife into his father. She's known the kid all her life. His window is right opposite hers, across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
And they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something. How come you believe her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
You think you're a pretty smart fella, don't you?
Now take it easy. Let's calm down. Okay, who goes next?
I am. Look, I don't know. I started to be convinced from the testimony from the people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock that night? Right? I mean, am I right?
They heard the father hit the boy twice and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Well, look, it doesn't prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Look, we can talk about this all day long. I think we're wasting our time. Look at the kid's record. At 15, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up for knife fighting. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm. This is your very fine boy?
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him regularly with his fists.
I would too if it was my kid.
You know, you're right. It's the kids, these rotten kids. It's who they are, you know? I got a kid. Same age as that kid. In fact, I got a picture here in my wallet of him. He was a good kid. When he was 13, I saw him run away from a fight. I said, I'm gonna make a man out of you, or I'm gonna break you into little pieces trying. I made a man out of him. When he was 17, we got into an argument. It was a fight. I hit him. Yeah, I hit him. He hit me back. He almost broke my jaw. That night, he packs his things. He walks out of the house. I haven't seen him in 3 years. You work your life for these kids and they eat your heart out. These rotten kids, it's the way they are, rotten kids. I'm sorry, let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's the product of a filthy, filthy neighborhood and a broken home. Okay, we can't help that, right? Right. We're not here to go into the reasons why slum kids are the breeding grounds of criminals. They are. I know it, and I think you guys know it too. The children who come out of a slum background are a menace to society.
Now, wait a minute. I've lived in a slum all my life. I used to play in a backyard filled with garbage. I could still smell that awful odor. I'm not a murderer. I'm not a menace to society. Why do you talk that way?
Hey, let's be reasonable. There is nothing personal here.
Why do you let him talk like that?
All right. Let's keep it civil.
I want to talk about something else. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial from the start. Somehow, I felt the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. I know he was appointed by the court, but he had an obligation to defend the boy the best way he could. And to me, he hardly seemed interested. So many questions were left unasked.
Look, what about the questions that were asked? For instance, let's talk about this cute little kid's switchblade knife. You know, the knife that this fine upright kid admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. Mr. Foreman, can you bring that knife out for us to see?
Here it is.
Let me see that knife. Now look at this knife. This is very unusual. There's probably not another one like it. Look at this distinctive handle. This is a pretty strong piece of evidence, don't you think?
I do.
The boy admits going out of his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switchblade knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy. The storekeeper identified it and said it was the only one of its kind. A very unusual knife. Why did the boy buy it? Am I right?
You're right.
You bet he's right. Now listen to this man. He knows what he's saying.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his pocket. He never saw it again. Now, that's some story, gentlemen. You know what actually happened? He saw his father. He was mad from being slapped or punched, started fighting with his father, pulled out the knife and stabbed him. He even remembered to wipe off his fingerprints.
Everyone connected with this case identified the knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street, went up to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost his knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. Possible.
Possible? A similar knife? A similar knife? You heard the storekeeper say he never saw another one like it in his life.
Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
Then I suggest you take a look at this.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah. What is this? Who do you think you are?
Look at it. It's the same knife.
Where did you get it?
I got it last night in a little junk shop just around the corner from the boy's house. Cost $5.
Now listen to me. You pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely nothing. Maybe there are 10 knives like it. So what? The boy lied, and you know it.
Yeah, who do you think you are? The kid's lawyer? Listen, there are 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, he'll be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We could be here all night.
It's only one night. A man may die.
All right, listen. I've thought about this. I have a proposal to make. I want to call for a vote. I want 11 men to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. There are still 11 votes for guilty. I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict now.
Now you're talking.
Okay, let's do it. Mr. Foreman, pass out the papers.
Does everybody agree? Okay. Let's pass these down. Fill them out and then pass them back. Guilty. 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 Not guilty.
Oh,
Guilty.
How do you like that?
Who was it? I think we have a right to know.
I know who did it. Poor little slum kid who just couldn't help being a murderer. What made you change your vote? If that's not the most ridiculous,
He didn't change his mind. I did. Maybe you'd like to know why.
no, I wouldn't like to know why.
Hey, the man wants to talk. Let him.
Thank you. This gentleman chose to stand alone against us. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something strongly. He left the verdict up to us. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
Look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body fall to the floor right above his apartment. And then he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds later. What more do you want to know?
I'd like to know how long you think it takes an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point.
What has that got to do with anything?
How long do you think?
About 10 seconds.
That's right.
All right, let's say it takes 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
Just this. An L train passes a point in 10 seconds. That given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out of the window and touch the L train passing, right? Now, let me ask you this. Did anyone ever live right next to the L train tracks? I have.
So have I.
When your window is open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
That's right.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
The old man heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." And 1 second later, he heard the body fall. 1 second later. That's the testimony, right?
Right.
The woman across the street looks through the windows of the last two cars of the L train and saw the body fall. The last two cars.
What are you getting at?
Look, an L train takes about 10 seconds to pass a given point, or 2 seconds per car. That L train had been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds and maybe more before the body fell, according to the woman. The old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," while the front of the L was roaring past his window. It's not possible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean it's not possible? Sure, he could have heard it.
Could he?
He said he heard the boy yell it out. That's enough for me.
Well, it's not enough for me. I don't think he could have heard it.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
I think it's possible that he probably could not have heard the boy yell.
You know, you're crazy. You're crazy. Why would he lie? What's he got to gain by lying?
Attention.
Attention? You keep coming up with this stuff. So now the boy lied because he wanted, the old man lied because he wanted attention. Where do you come up with this stuff?
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice that? He was very old, man, with a torn jacket. I think I know him better than anyone. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life. He never had recognition, his name in the newspaper. Nobody knows him. After 75 years, that's a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be questioned and listened to and quoted just once. This is very important.
And you're trying to tell us he lied about a thing like this just so that he could feel important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but he'd make himself believe that he heard those words so he could recognize the boy's face, so he could testify in court.
How can you make up a story like that? That's the most ridiculous story I ever heard. How can you make up something like that? What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
There's something else I'd like to bring up. I think we proved that the old man couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." But supposing he did hear it, this phrase, how many times has each of you used it? Probably hundreds. If you do that one more time, Junior, I'm going to kill you. Come on, Rocky, kill him. We hear people say it every day. Doesn't mean they're really going to kill someone.
Now, wait a minute. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And the kid screamed it out at the top of his lungs. Don't try to tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that, the way that kid said it, means it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would shout out a thing like that so the whole neighborhood could hear it? I don't think so. Too bright for that.
Right? He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
Listen to me. The kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer bring up these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything. I mean, we've already discussed how disinterested this lawyer seemed.
Oh, brother, you sit here and pull these stories from thin air. Now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get up out of his bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing? He's only saying he did it to be important?
The old man say he ran to the door.
Ran, walked. What's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I can't see how an old man like that could run. Didn't he walk with 2 canes?
Yes, 2 canes.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough for me.
Where was his bedroom?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. How come you can't remember that?
I don't know. Mr. Foreman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
Diagram, knives. How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see exhibits all the time?
Here it is.
Can you hold it up? I want to see this too.
Yeah, and I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found?
No, we're not. We're going to find out how a man who had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and walks with a pair of canes should get to his front door in 15 seconds.
The boy said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
Look, he's an old man. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything?
All right. This is the apartment where the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks, the bedroom, the living room, and this is the hall and the steps where the killer ran down. The old man had to get out of his bed, walk through the apartment, unlock the door, walk into the hall in order to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's his story.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall?
Correct.
His bed was at the window, 12 feet from the door. There's another 43 feet to the front door. He has to open it, all in 15 seconds. You think it's possible?
You know it's possible.
He can only walk very slowly. They even had to help him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like a long walk. It's his apartment. It isn't.
You know, let's try it.
What are you doing?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took him. I'm going to go and pace off 12 feet, then the length of the apartment.
You know you're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
I think we can.
And I think it's a ridiculous waste of time.
You know, hand me a chair. All right. This is the bedroom door. Now, how far would you say it is from here to the door in this room?
I'd say it was 20 feet.
Just about.
20 feet is close enough. All right. From here to the door and back is about 40 feet. It's shorter than the length of the hall. Wouldn't you say that?
A few feet, maybe.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can recreate a thing like that?
You mind if I try it? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Let me lie down on the chair, and let's say he keeps his canes right at his bedside, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm ready. I want you to time this.
Okay, wait till my second hand reaches 12. Okay, now go.
I'm getting off the bed, grabbing my canes.
Great. He's walking like a crippled man. He's opening the bedroom door.
Speed it up. You're walking too slow. That's better.
Now he's walking the 20 feet to the wall. I think he's going even more quickly than he did when he was in the courtroom.
How's this pace?
That's good.
Okay, I'm unlocking the apartment door, and now, stop. How many seconds?
15, 20, 30, 31 seconds exactly.
31 seconds. My guess is that the old man was trying to get to his door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed it was the boy? Assumed it was the boy? Now listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my life. But this little display here takes the cake. You people come in here with their bleeding hearts about slum kids and injustice. And you make up these wild stories. And the rest of you soft-hearted little ladies are believing it. Well, I'm not. I'm sick of it. Look, this kid's got to burn. What's the matter with you? He's guilty. We're letting him slip right through our fingers.
Slip through our fingers? What? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I would.
I'm sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch. You want to see this boy die because you personally want it? Not because of the facts.
You son of a bitch. I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Who are you all looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children here.
All right, let's all calm down. Where were we?
We're still nowhere. Who's got an idea?
Mr. Foreman, I'm going to change my vote to not guilty. I'd like to call for another vote.
It's all right with me. Anybody doesn't want to vote?
All right, let's do it.
But this time I want an open ballot. I want to know who stands where.
Sounds fair. Anyone object? All right. Number 2.
Guilty.
Number 3.
Guilty.
Number 7.
Guilty.
Number 8.
Not guilty.
Number 9.
Not guilty.
Number 10.
Guilty.
Number 11.
Not guilty.
And I vote guilty. The vote is 6-6.
I'll tell you something. The crime is being committed right here in this jury room.
And I agree. And I'm ready to walk into that court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in discussing this with you guys anymore.
I go for that. Let's take it into the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other guys.
All right, let's stop the arguing. Does anyone have anything constructive to say?
I do. Something has been bothering me now for a while. This whole business about that stab wound and how it was made. I mean, the downward angle of it, you know?
Don't tell me we're going to start that all over again. They went over it in the court.
I know they did. But I don't go along with it. Look, the boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father is 6'2". That's a difference of half a foot. It's very awkward to stab someone in the chest who's half a foot taller than you.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see it again, so I'm going to show you. Give me that knife. I'm going to crouch down because the kid is shorter than his father. Okay. Now he reaches up and he stabs his father down, a downward angle, just like that. Just like that. There's your angle. Let me show you again. Down and in. That's how you stab someone taller than yourself. Down and in.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Have you ever even seen a knife fight?
I have.
Well, I have seen lots of them, and I don't mean in the movies. In my backyard, on my stoop, a vacant lot across the street from my house, too many of them. Switchblades come with my neighborhood, and I guess you try to forget these things. Anyone who's ever used a switchblade would never have stabbed downward. You don't handle a switchblade that way. You use it underhand, like this. You'd waste too much time to change positions.
Then he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
No, he couldn't have. Not if he'd had ever had any experience with switchblades.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You're giving us a lot of nonsense here.
What do you think?
Look, I'm getting sick and tired of this whole thing. Let's break it up and go home. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
You're what?
You heard me. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
What kind of man are you? Playing like this with a human being's life simply because you have tickets to a ball game, burning a hole in your pocket? That's a terrible thing to do.
Hey, you can't talk to me that way.
I can talk to you that way. If you want to vote not guilty, then vote that way because you believe the man is not guilty, not because you are in a hurry to see a ball game. Don't you have any guts? Tell us why you want to vote not guilty.
Because I don't believe he's guilty.
I want another vote.
Okay. There's another vote called for. I guess the easiest way is a show of hands. Anybody object? All right. Those voting not guilty, raise your hands. No, 8, 9. That's 9. Now those voting guilty. That's 3. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I can't believe you people. How can you believe this kid is innocent? You know how these people lie. I don't have to tell you that. They don't know what the truth is. And I want to tell you another thing. They don't need any big reason to kill someone either. They drink, they get into a fight, they take out a gun, and they kill someone. Nobody can blame them. That's the way they are. You see what I mean? They're violent. A human life doesn't mean as much to them as it means to us. Look, these people are drinking and fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, somebody gets killed. They don't care. Most of them don't have any feelings. Say, what's going on here? You know I'm right. Listen to me. There's not one of them that has any good in them. What are you doing? Look, I'm trying to tell you something and you're not even listening to me.
I've had enough. You open your mouth one more time and I'll split your skull. Do you understand?
All right. Easy, fellow. Let's all calm down. Now come back here and settle down. Now, does everyone have anything new to add?
I still believe the boy is guilty of murder, and I'll tell you why. To me, the most damning evidence was given by the woman across the street who claimed she actually saw the murder committed.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
Okay, let's go over her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the open window, and she could look out the window while lying down and see directly into the window across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she turned toward the window at about 12:10, and she looked out. And she saw the boy stab his father. As far as I'm concerned, this is unshakable testimony.
You're right. Unshakable testimony. You could throw out all the other evidence right there. Right there. That's the whole case.
And frankly, I don't see how anyone can vote for acquittal. Now, what do you think about that?
Excuse me, are you feeling okay?
I feel perfectly well. Why do you ask?
Because I've noticed that you've been rubbing your nose. It reminded me of something.
Hey, can we get back to the case?
I think this is important. Excuse me, but why do you rub your nose like that?
Well, if you must know, I was rubbing it because it bothers me a little.
Is it because of your glasses?
It is. Now, can we get back to the case?
Your eyeglasses make those marks on your nose, don't they?
Yes, they do, and it's very annoying.
It's funny. I hadn't noticed this before. The woman who testified that she saw the killings had those same marks on the sides of her nose. Did anyone else notice that?
You're right. I mean, I saw that. She did a lot of this kind of rubbing her nose.
This woman was about 45 years old. She was making a tremendous effort to look 35. First public appearance, heavy makeup, dyed hair, brand new clothes that should have been worn by a much younger woman, no eyeglasses. See if you can get a mental picture of her.
What do you mean, no eyeglasses? How do you even know if she wore glasses? Just because she was rubbing her nose?
She had those marks. I saw them.
I saw them too.
I was closest to her, and I saw them too. Those marks. What do you call them?
So what are you saying?
I'm saying she had those same marks on her nose.
She had the marks on her nose. She had dyed hair. What does that mean?
Could those marks be made by anything other than eyeglasses?
No, they cannot.
What about the kid's lawyer? Why didn't he say anything?
There are 12 people focusing on this case, and 11 of us didn't see it either.
Okay, Mr. Clarence Darrow here. Then what about the district attorney? You think he's trying to pull a fast one by having her testify without her eyeglasses?
Did you ever see a woman who had to wear glasses and didn't want to because she thinks they'll spoil her looks?
Ha! My wife. Every time she walks out of the house, she...
Maybe the district attorney didn't know either.
Look, I'll give you that she had marks on her nose. I'll give you that she wore glasses. I'll even give you that she never wore the glasses outside the house so people would think she's gorgeous. But when she saw that kid kill his father, she was in her house, all alone, wearing her glasses. That's the case.
You wear your eyeglasses to bed?
No.
It's logical that she wasn't wearing them while she was in bed, tossing, turning, trying to fall asleep.
No one wears eyeglasses to bed.
How do you know all this?
I don't know. I'm only guessing that she probably didn't put on her glasses when she turned and casually looked out the window, and she herself said that the murder took place just as she looked out the window. She couldn't have had time to put her glasses on.
Sounds logical to me.
And here's another guess. Maybe she honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? You don't even know what kind of glasses they were. Maybe she was farsighted. Maybe they were sunglasses. You don't even know what kind of glasses they were.
I only know that her eyesight is in question.
And she had to identify a person 60 feet away.
Through the windows of a passing train.
Without her glasses.
I mean, you can't send someone to die on evidence like that.
Don't you think she might have made a mistake?
No.
It's not possible?
No, it's not possible.
Do you think he's guilty?
No. Mr. Foreman, I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
What about you?
Not guilty.
Well, I still think he's guilty. How do you like that? How do you like that? We're a hung jury 11-1.
Does anyone else think he's guilty? Well, you're alone now.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have a right.
You have a right.
Well, what do we do now, 11-1? It's a hung jury. What else do you want to know? I say we go into the judge and we tell the judge.
Let's hear your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We want to hear them again. We have as much time as it takes.
Look, you don't believe the woman. So what about all the other evidence? The movies, the old man, the
You
knife.
said we could throw out all the other evidence.
Everything. Every single thing that took place in that courtroom, I mean, everything says the kid is guilty. What do you think? I'm an idiot? Take the stuff about the old man who knew the kid. He saw the kid running down the stairs. What difference does it make how many seconds it take? You could hobble back and forth through this courtroom. What difference does it make? You can't prove he didn't see the old man. And every single thing. The knife falling through a hole in his pocket. That's a laugh. You can't prove the knife fell through his hole in his pocket. And this business with the movies. I bet you $5,000 I'd remember what movies I saw. I'm telling you, everything that's taken place in this courtroom has been twisted and turned. This business with the glasses. How do you know she didn't have them on? The woman testified in open court. And what about hearing the kid yell, "I'm gonna kill you," to his own father? I got the facts right here written in my wallet. I got them all written down right here, all the facts. Read them. That's the case. Well, look at you all. Say something. You're a bunch of bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me. You bet I'd like to be his executioner. You bet I'd pull the switch. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Excuse me, but you dropped the picture of your son.
Rotten kids. You work your heart out for these rotten kids. Rotten kids. Rotten. Not guilty. Not guilty.